This slide is about categorical propositions of logic. The theory of deduction. A deductive argument is one whose premises are claimed to provide conclusive grounds for the truth of its conclusion. If that claim is correct, that is, if the premises of the argument really do assure the truth of its conclusion, with necessity that deductive argument is valid. Every deductive argument either does what it claims or it does not. Therefore, every deductive argument is either valid or invalid. If it is valid, it is impossible for its premises to be true without its conclusion also being true. Categorical propositions are the fundamental elements, the building blocks of argument. In the classical account of deductive logic, consider the argument. No athletes are vegetarians. All football players are athletes. Therefore, no football players are vegetarians. This argument contains three categorical propositions. There are four and only four kinds of standard form categorical propositions. Here are examples of each of four kinds. All politicians are liars. No politicians are liars. Some politicians are liars. Some politicians are not liars. Now we will examine each of these kinds. Universal affirmative propositions. In these, we assert that the whole of one class is included or contained in another class. All politicians are liars. This is an example. It asserts that every member of one class, the class of politicians, is a member of another class, the class of liars. Any universal proposition can be written schematically as all S is P, where the letters S and P present the subject and predicate terms respectively. Such a proposition affirms that the relation of class inclusion holds between the two classes and says that the inclusion is complete or universal. All members of S are said to be also member of P. Propositions in this standard form are called universal affirmative proposition. They are also called a proposition. Universal negative proposition. No politicians are liars is a proposition in which it is denied universally that any member of the class of politicians is a member of the class of liars. It asserts that the subject class S is wholly excluded from the predicate class P. Categorical propositions of this kind can be written as no S is P, where S and P present the subject and predicate terms. This kind of proposition denies the relation of inclusion between the two terms and denies it universally. It tells us that no members of S are members of P. Propositions in this standard form are called universal negative propositions. They are also called E propositions. Particular affirmative propositions. The third example, some politicians are liars, affirms that some members of the class of all politicians are member of the class of all politicians are members of the class of all liars. This proposition does not affirm or deny anything about the class of all politicians. It makes no pronouncements about that entire class. nor does it say that some politicians are not liars. The literal and exact interpretations of this proposition is the assertion that the class of politicians and the class of liars have some member or members in common. Logicians interpret some to mean at least mean. It may be written as some SSP, which says that at least one member of the class designated by the subject term S is also a member of the class designated by the predicate term P. They are also called I preposition. Particular negative preposition. The fourth example. Some politicians are not liars. It refers to politicians only to some member or members of that class. It does not affirm the inclusion of some member of or members of the first class in the second class. This is precisely what is denied. It is written as some S is not P, which says that at least one member of the class designated but the subject term S is excluded from the whole of the class designated by the predicate term P. They are also called O prepositions. Thank you.